Welcome to a live 2022 NBA free agency show with my brother Kenyon. We'll have different guests on throughout the show. It's going to be a long show. We're breaking it all down, my man. How you feeling? Are you excited, or is it just me
Very excited.
that's pumped, man? Because it's crazy right now. This is free agency, man.
It's very very exciting. That's all I gotta say.
Man,
Um,
there has been a lot of fireworks already, okay? And I guess the biggest, is it the biggest though? Um, Not KD, I mean, that's pretty big, but the Knicks going through Jalen Brunson and giving him so much money. It's incredible because that's going to put the Raptors in a tough predicament with a guy that's similar to his game in Fred VanVleet, which I hope they don't give him that money. But hey, it's crazy right now, brother. Like, would you say Brunson is like the biggest deal so far?
I mean, as a deal, yes. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised in this latest. I mean, I was talking to I believe I was talking to Robert about this, and I was saying they signed his dad. They hired his dad. Why else would you
Mm-hmm.
hire someone's dad randomly, right? And what would have happened to his dad if they didn't, get him? Because it's not like his dad played for the Knicks, but only for a year. So it's not like he has
Right.
a long. I think he
Yeah.
has
What
much.
the?
You know what I mean? Like,
What?
can you imagine?
And my question is, how good is Jalen anyway? Like, he's not $30 million good. Or are they projecting him to be to like take this next level? Because it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I think he got a little exposed in the playoffs. I think Brunson is a very good player, and he will be a good player, and he projects to be a good player. But um, he has trouble with his creativity and isolations, especially in the mid range.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his lateral movement, especially on offense, is sometimes a little suspect for me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where I kind of come from. I think you know people are going to hate me for saying this, but I would take him over Fred, but I would rather,
But that's not
you
saying much,
know,
right? It's like they're like
yeah.
right there. You know what I mean? Like they're like, they're very
I mean,
similar.
Fred's a much better shooter, like elite shooter, um, especially in catch and shoot situations. I don't think that Brunson is like that, but the stories are so similar. It's great. So I hear what you're saying. I have a
So
question for you.
go ahead, go ahead.
So do you think that that sets the market
Well,
for
Fred.
an extension?
So Van Vliet set the market originally. Now Brunson reset it, and then Fred's gonna be like, "Well, I'm an all star, right?" In like quotations. So I gotta get more, and I'm like, I'm terrified to see what the Raptors are gonna do because I get it. Like they're very loyal to their players, but at some
Yeah.
point that becomes a bit ridiculous, and it's something that I wouldn't do. Like I'm trying to work the phone lines right now and just call, "Hey, who's taking this man off my hands? Because I don't want him." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
So
that's what I would do.
yeah, I think in terms of the Raptors, it does set somewhat of like a market for Fred, but I always said that the market for Fred starts at 25, high end 28. If he's
That
getting
is
what they're
ridiculous.
reporting, he should be getting. I think that I can see the Raptors giving him 27 and a half. Now, is
No.
that a good contract or not? That's a completely different conversation. I'm just saying that's in an open market. I think that 25 is a good 25 to 28 is fair for someone to pay for Fred if they have cap room. So, but long term, I
Wow.
agree with
27,
Robert.
huh?
I
27.
I think 27 is probably the maximum. So the type of, if you're asking me what I would do if I was the Raptors,
Yeah.
I would first try to trade him.
Well, you and me both.
If you're unable to trade him, I think that the next move, and this is what I think is happening behind closed doors, but I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
is you don't want to. I think it's better to retain an asset and trade him later. And if you sign him now, it doesn't mean that you can't sign him in, I
That's
believe,
true.
6 months. So what I would do is sign him to a 2 or 3 year extension. Obviously, if it's shorter, you have to pay him more. and then I would do it like that.
Brian Windhorst says the Lakers could potentially put together a package that lands
Uh-oh.
Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Okay, so this is a perfect segue. That's crazy, right? Like, wow.
Sorry.
So I'm assuming AD is part of that deal because there's no way in hell he wouldn't be
Who
part of
else
that
would
deal,
be?
right? But let's play this video that you found for us, and
Yeah.
yeah, let's listen to it because this is a perfect segue of where the mindset, right,
Yep.
of these
But
two is.
I'm just saying, I don't think that's good for. I'm just saying, I don't think. I
Yeah. So I'd put it
look,
back around, I think, a
I
minute
do
10.
sometimes, but
But look, I even have to address Seven this way. They'll just show a little bit more respect on the show for the actual host. You know what I mean? Because I just want to be able to just communicate with you about how I feel as a post-up guard. In my past life, like I said, I was you. I was you. I was
What
you. What you
the
are now,
fuck is
that's
he
what I'm up
talking
here.
about?
I Same mentality. I'm getting to a spot. I'm raising up. I'm getting to a bucket. My footwork is impeccable. I have length. I'm able to shoot over
It's
top,
wild.
hold the follow through, and I don't see people. I do you not feel the same way?
I do sometimes. But I'm just saying, I don't think that's
He
good
just
for
paused. He's like,
the continuity of our offense. If our point guard always want to be underneath the rim, you know what I'm saying?
You know what? That can come off. That can come
You
off.
get what I mean?
I do. You're right. That can come off
oh,
like
I
I'm
want to
trying to.
cry.
Okay, so that's
Sorry, I had to share
hilarious.
that with you.
No, that's hysterical because I have this one here.
Oh, that's a great meme.
And that's Kyrie. We ran it back.
We
Yo, man, Kyrie is wild. That man's brain is, I don't know.
I told you he's from another dimension.
Okay, so free agency has officially started, and the first big move is All-Star Bradley Beal has agreed to a 5-year, $251 million maximum contract to stay with the Washington Wizards. Wow.
Cash money.
Thoughts on that?
Well, tampering? We're gonna announce it that fast? No, I think it's if I were Beal, I think I would. It depends on what he cares about. To me, I
Right.
think he has enough money to move and to move on. I don't know why the Wizards keep doing this to themselves. Like, like they keep doing this to themselves. They did it with Wall before, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, there's breaking news. Malik Monk is signing a 2-year, $19 million deal with the
With Kings?
Sacramento Kings. 19 divided by 2 is what, Mr. Math Guy?
It's 19 divided by 2 is a little bit over 9.
So a little bit over 9, which is the MLE.
Yeah.
The Kings have, in their own way, upgraded the shooting guard position from letting a guy like Dante DiVincenzo go after trading for the man twice to now signing Malik Monk, De'Aaron Fox's brother, a guy that they just excelled in at Kentucky. And
I'm wondering how they're structuring that deal, because like are they just giving it a flat like 19.5, or sorry, 9.5, or are they?
It seems like it. It seems
Okay.
like it. Yeah. So he's saying, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
it's
How do you feel about that? Are you okay?
so we kind of knew last night about
Yeah.
Monk joining Fox, and Fox
Nice.
having a lot to do with convincing him to come to SAC and put together that backcourt duo again. They had a lot of success at Kentucky. Can they replicate that on the NBA level after seeing Malik Monk the last 2 years, but specifically last year, take a leap in his game in terms of just overall shooting? He shot the ball really well from all floors and catch and shoots, and off the dribble. He's improved a lot, but the biggest question mark, and something that you'll probably attest to, is his defense, right? Like, it's still not good. he got better, but he's still mediocre on that end. And having two guys who analytically are mediocre is tough because we can only go off of what we know. But I guess the only positive is that they're both really gifted athletically. And Mike Brown is a guy that, has historically had top 10 defenses and teaches defense like no other. And if there's a guy that can have someone buy into playing defense, and we always talk about just don't be a net negative. It's these two guys, because these two guys are capable of being good defenders. It's just a matter of will they buy in. And again, that's the optimistic perspective if you're a Kings fan, because you do have a guy at the helm that's done it, and he's done it forever. But in terms of what we know now, defensively they're going to struggle, but you never know.
It's an interesting offensive fit. I think that Malik Monk he can create his own shot off the dribble. He can definitely shoot the three. So from that standpoint, I like it. But I agree, I think the Kings are still missing something. And I think that they're missing.
It's a start. It's a start.
It's a direction. It's a start. And I just got to say right now, Kings fans got to stop with trying to propose OG trades. It ain't gonna happen. I'm sorry.
Oh man, Piss Money gotta go
there's
get
a whole
his
bunch
OG.
of stuff that just happened though.
Yes, we have hours to break it all down, but you don't.
Slow down.
There's a lot that just happened. The comment section's going crazy. We need John Collins or OG. Booker signed. Okay. So let's look at those are our original thoughts. I'm sure we'll come back to it right now, but let's keep going. PJ Tucker is finalizing a 3-year, $33.2 million fully guaranteed deal with the Philadelphia 76ers, which this is interesting because now that means that the Kings can go after a guy like Matisse Thybulle, which they need, right? Like they need really good defenders. He's a guy that will probably be expendable, and I'm assuming that they'll probably want to let go of Tobias Harris, which again, both you and I can agree that he's on a terrible contract, but he is a good player. So how do you balance those things? And like when you trade for him, because you have to clear a lot of cap space. I think he's on $37 million. So that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think so. Tobias Harris as a target for the Kings is an interesting target, and I think he might be a solid target for you guys, actually.
Yeah.
And I think you might actually have the pieces to go for it. Because I'm just thinking,
who's better? Who's better to you, Harrison Barnes or Tobias? I think they're so close, and one guy makes a lot less money than the other.
If you take out the contract, and I'm not a Tobias Harris, stan or anything like that.
Right.
I think Tobias Harris is a much better, well-rounded player.
Interesting. Okay.
The problem is his contract, but I don't know how many years does he have left, because it's
so
been a while,
this year and next year.
Okay, so it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I
think that's the move that the Kings will get done. They'll trade Rashawn Harrison, like you said, because they have the money to equate to the $37 million. For sure. Another salary cap filler, and they're gonna try and get Thybulle and Tobias. So they're building again. They finally have a direction, right? They have two foundational pieces in Fox and Sabonis. They're trying to add shooting and defense around those two guys who are notoriously known for being bad defenders, but very good offensive players. So you got to surround those two with shooting.
Yeah, one of these days I do want to talk to you about Fox, because I'm kind of with Robert on Fox, but that's a whole other.
Right. We'll have time.
We have time.
Victor Oladipo has signed a 1-year, $11 million deal to return to the Heat. That is so interesting because I didn't see that happening, and he did. Isaiah Hartenstein has signed a 2-year, $16 million. What the hell are the Knicks doing? Oh my God. 2 years, $16 million. DeAndre Jordan has agreed to Denver Nuggets. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's a team.
The free agent class isn't good.
I'm just saying. What the hell did they do? They're competing for an NBA championship. They got Jamal Murray coming back, and then they get rid of their depth for lesser players. that made no like that trade to shed salary made no sense to me in terms of them wanting to go for a championship and surrounding their 2-time MVP with like I don't know, man. I mean, KCP is a good player, but Monty Morris and was it Will Barton? I think so. I think it was Will Barton.
It was Will Barton. It was Will Barton.
And Morris, like those are good players.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. It's kind of a little bit. It's a weird move.
Yeah.
I do think that part of it is potentially to clear space, because from what I hear, it's basically already a verbal agreement for Jokic's max, so super max. So
yeah, that's true. The Suns and Booker are finalizing the 4-year, $214 million supermax contract extension that he set to next week. Okay. Nikola Jokic has agreed to a 5-year, $264 million supermax contract extension. Holy smokes! Fifth season will be a player option of $60 million. Oh my God. And like the prices keep going up for all these players, right? Like it truly is ludicrous, man. Like that's big time news there. PJ Tucker, Malik Monk, Bobby Portis.
I like the Tucker move. That's a solid move for them.
That's a solid move for them. Yeah, he's a tough motherfucker. Bobby Portis has agreed to a 4-year, $49 million deal to the Bucks. That's interesting because there were fake reports saying that he was going to sign with Golden State, which would have been unfair, right?
Yeah, I don't think that I didn't believe that.
Yeah.
I thought he wanted a little bit of a raise, so to speak, right?
Right.
And I don't think that Golden State had the tools to be able to pay him more than a mid-level, and obviously they just did. So, I like it.
Daniel House, there's the James Harden connection with his Houston days, right? Daniel House has agreed to a deal with the Philadelphia 76ers. Again, more and more likely that Tobias and Thibault will go to Sacramento. Basketball related income, the NBA is at $8.9 billion. Holy smokes, that's a lot of money. Let's go back to Woj.
I think Anthony.
Here we go. I'm like, damn, Shams is destroying him. Okay, Tyus Jones returning to the Grizzlies on a 2-year, $30 million deal. Okay, that makes sense. Daniel House, 2-year, 8.5. So Woj came out with the details. So 2 years, 8.5. Wow, that's the biennial exception, right? Bobby Portis, 4-year, 49. So he was right there. Oh my goodness. Simons has agreed to a 4-year, $100 million extension.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to get to that.
Whoa, that's ludicrous. Let us know in the comments below how you guys feel about that one. Brady. I can use Woj reporting that Kevin Durant is expected to be traded to the Memphis Grizzlies. No, that's fake. No way. Kings just got a better version of Buddy Hield. Anthony got paid. Is Monk a starter? I mean, he's coming to start.
He's definitely a starter.
Yeah, like if you're paying him that.
Depending on the team, but yeah.
Leo, do you think Kings have a shot at Ben Simmons, Fox, Monk, Simmons, Murray? I mean, y'all know how I feel about Ben Simmons. I mean, Ben Simmons to me, when he's right, he's one of the best players in the NBA. Like, but when he's right is a huge question mark, right? We're talking about Kyrie. There's a guy that's damaged mentally right now. It's Ben Simmons. So
I think Simmons has a lot of maturing to do. That's what I'll say. And I have no idea where that back is, but I've been thinking for a long time that the Kings should definitely consider it in terms of trying to go for Simmons.
He's a hell of a player. It's an
interesting move. So
I mean, he's an elite defender, right? He's an elite passer. He's an elite rebounder for his position. He just can't score.
He can play the small ball 5 as well in a pinch as well. So
that's what I'm saying. So he's
very,
so
very
versatile.
interesting.
He's so right. That's what I wanted for the Raptors before all this stuff happened and like the holdout and like he'd be an amazing fit there if his mind's right. Because if there's an organization that can get him right, it's probably the Raptors.
I think that's a little bit. I love the Raptors. I love Masai and all that, but that's asking for quite a lot.
That's funny. Kings. Okay, so do you think the Kings can still go after John Collins? So how do you feel about the fit? I love the fit with Dejounte Murray, which is the big news yesterday, and Trae Young. I was upset that the Kings didn't get in and it makes sense that Pop probably wouldn't trade to the West anyway, but 3 first-round picks and a salary dump because they were going to cut bait with him anyway in Gallinari.
Yeah. So I think it made sense because, first of all, I didn't think that the Kings, I think I messaged you about this. I didn't think that the Kings had what the Spurs wanted. The Spurs wanted to dump salary. Not that, Dejounte Murray is a salary dump, but you know what I mean. Like they wanted to cut salary, get their cap down, clean up their books a little bit, and I guess get ready for the tank.
But like, wouldn't you want Kings picks as opposed to Hawks picks? Because those Hawks picks are going to be high anyway. Those Kings picks, you never know. Like they could be a top 5 pick. Like there's more value in those picks than anything.
But I think the problem is the players that you get from the Kings in, if we go back into the past, wouldn't have been players that would have necessarily helped you to tank more, right? Whereas Gallo, you can just cut bait. And so the other thing is that the Kings having, let's say it was Harrison Barnes or whatever. I don't know.
I mean, what's the difference though? Because like Gallo is an expiring $20 million deal, right?
Yeah. So they just cut him. He's a free agent now.
So they could have just done the same with like Harrison Barnes. I mean, he's on an expiring deal.
It's true, but the problem is Harrison Barnes' contract is guaranteed, whereas Gallo is a partial guarantee. So working out, so it's harder to work out that kind of thing. So
so Amir Coffey has agreed to a 3-year, $11 million deal with the Clippers. That's interesting. Good player there, right? How do you feel about him?
He was someone that I had, I cut it short, but he was in my tier 3, or got bumped up to my tier 3 for the Raptors. Interesting guy. I like him. I'm surprised by this deal.
Shoots the ball really well.
Yep. Plays defense, 6'7", I think. Long wings.
Damian Jones has agreed to sign with the Lakers from the Sacramento Kings. That's interesting. Well, there goes your backup. Well, we don't know yet because they still have Rashawn. So as of right now, Rashawn is your backup. But Damian's a good player. I mean, Damian's a growing player, and that's a good deal for the Lakers.
So how do you feel about the fact that you guys, I believe, declined the qualifying offer on Dante?
Well, it makes sense now, right? Because they kind of had their eyes on Malik, or I think Fox had maybe tipped them like, hey, I think I can convince this guy to come and leave the Lakers. Because, me and you talked about...
Let's laughing because the Lakers.
Yeah, because like 3 days ago, both you and I, we talked about how he said he'd take less money, remember? To like stay with the Lakers.
Yeah.
And what's the one thing that the Lakers need around AD and LeBron is shooting. Which, I mean,
anything.
Every team needs shooting, right? But everything. But so I think once they got that, that made sense. At the time, it was confusing as hell. I'm like, well, why would you renounce his rights? Because they had a cap hold of $9 million. So now they got under the cap. But then depending on how you use the MLE.
Sorry, I just saw.
Who, from Shams or from who?
From Woj. It's actually the exact number that I said too. Oh, I love this.
Javon Carter has agreed to a 2-year deal to return to Milwaukee. Okay. Wesley Matthews has agreed to a 1-year deal to return to the Bucks. Let's go back to this guy. Let me see. Lou Dort. Holy shit. 5-year, $87 million. Toronto. Chris Boucher, breaking news.
That's why I
Breaking
went
news.
like
Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Yes, Chris Boucher is returning to the Raptors on a 3-year, $35.25 million deal. His agent, Sam Permit, from Rock Nation Sports, tells Adrian Wojnarowski. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I guessed the exact number, basically. I don't know the breakdown, but I said that the Raptors would basically give him. I said 12 is too much. That is the exact term that I said. I said 12. 12 is too much. I'm very curious what the contract looks like, because my guess
it's
is
pretty
the
much
last
12
two-
though, because 36 divided by 3 is 12.
Isn't it 30? I saw 33.
It's 35.
Oh, sorry. I read way too quickly then. My bad.
So 35.25. I mean, that's pretty close to 36. That's almost 12.
Okay, my bad. I read the wrong number. I got super excited. All right, changes my opinion. No, so I guess that in my opinion, then that is the upper echelon of what I would pay him. So I said like more than 12. I'm very curious to see what that contract looks like, because my guess, and I could be proven wrong, the final year will be a partial guarantee.
That's interesting. We don't know yet, but I'm sure it will come out. Bulls are poverty. He's a good player. Should start him next year. So what does this mean for the Raptors, in your opinion? Like, are they comfortable with what they have, and they're just going to sign their own guys? Like, are they going to give Fred 30? Are they going to give this guy 12? Like, where are we at right now with the Raptors?
I don't think Fred gets over 27 and a half. That's just my guess. That's pushing to his upper limit.
Batum signed, to a 2-year deal to return to the Clippers. The Clippers are stacking up. I think that's a dangerous team.
How much is he getting?
He hasn't said yet.
Okay.
That's a guy that that every team could use, right? Like a Batum.
He's got juice in the tank still.
Yeah, he does. Let's see if go ahead.
Sorry, I can't remember. We were talking about what would the Raptors be thinking? So what I'm really looking forward to is seeing what Thad gets. I want Thad back, and I don't think that there's a big market for him. I'm fine with. I like Koloko. I don't think that the Raptors need to prioritize a center. I want them to prioritize shooting. So that's kind of where I'm at. There is a bit of a cap crunch. I'm still very curious to see what happens with Gary Trent. So that is something that I would be on the lookout. And so
Lou Dort. Let's talk about that huge deal for Lou Dort, man. Lou Dort got $87 million, bro. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big time deal. What's that break down to? 90 divided by 5. What is that?
Yeah. So
17, 18. I don't know.
So sorry, is it 5 or
5? Yeah. Let me see.
It's
87 divided by 5. 17. I was right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So that's on average. So I think that was it's a little rich, but I like the signing. I thought he was staying with the Thunder. I joked to my friend that the Raptors would try to get him, but I didn't think. I wasn't 100% certain.
He is Canadian, right?
He is. Quebec.
He is.
French
Quebec.
Canadian.
He's French Canadian. Let's see.
He's. I can't remember if he's in camp right now, because Canada's gearing up to actually have a game leading up to the qualifiers.
So let me get tall. Okay. 3. Oh, Andy, go ahead and call back, buddy. Go ahead and call back.
South Korea is not a free agent, just to answer Devin's question.
Hold up, call back. So, is there anything else right now that's standing out to you? Is there someone else that the that the Raptors you think should go after?
Um. So Lonnie Walker is still out there. Lonnie Walker is no longer an RFA officially today. So
Hmm.
Lonnie Walker is the person that I think is very realistic. I'm also keeping an eye out. It's not like my top, but I would say Gary Harris is
Oh, that's a good
very.
player.
What happens to Bruce Brown now that KD wants out?
I mean, Bruce Brown's unrestricted or is he restricted?
He's unrestricted.
Yeah, we haven't even heard about him yet, huh? So did Malik Monk set the market for him?
I think I thought he was always going to get more than Malik Monk
That's interesting.
for sure.
Okay.
He's more of a two-way player.
Yep.
2-year deal with the Lakers. Oh, they're talking about Damian Jones.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm very curious to see where Gary Harris goes. Let me just cycle through. Do you think Kyle Anderson is going to go
That's
back
an
to
interesting name.
Memphis?
That's an interesting name. I mean, he's not going to get the deal that he got previously, right? Which was a 4-year, like $57 million deal, if I'm not mistaken, is what he got.
I believe so.
Somewhere around there.
Sorry, my math today. I've been doing a lot of I'm studying for the.
You're kind of off today, bro.
That
You're my math guy.
So yeah, I've been studying a lot of orgochem and other things, and so my brain is away from math. And so yeah. Oh, is he coming back?
No, he's not.
Okay.
2 years. Okay, so let's refresh. Traveling Queen has agreed with the Sixers. Who the hell is that?
Who? You say Traveling Queen?
Yeah. I have no clue who that is. Who the book is that?
Okay. Cool.
Batum, K. Ludort, still nothing there. Let's go back to Shams.
Someone joked that they thought it was James Harden.
Oh my gosh. Dwayne Dedman has agreed to a 2-year, $9 million deal. Oh gosh. He's so trash. Shams broke it down. So
no,
2 years.
Where is he going to?
He's going back to Miami.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Do you think he would have made sense for the Raptors? Because I don't.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
no.
We're good.
I actually wanted to see what Bill Simmons, because Bill Simmons had an interesting thing to say. Monk to the Kings. I can root for Monk again. Party at my house on Monk Island. He's such a Kings hater, man. It's just crazy. He said, let me see. There's a funny tweet he had about the Kings. Let me see. Fantastic comeback. Excellent pod. Let me see. What?
So, while you're looking for that, I'm just going to ask you. Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions?
Go ahead.
Okay, so where do you think KD is going to end up?
So that tweet was about KD. I think he's going to Phoenix.
Okay.
I do think he's going to Phoenix. I think they have the most to offer. They have a Mikal Bridges to offer, right? They have a DeAndre Ayton to offer, and they sign and trade. If anyone has the assets, it's them. Apparently, the Heat can't offer Bam Adebayo because they got Ben Simmons, and some type of like a weird rookie. Like you can't take back-to-back years of 2 rookie guys. It's some weird thing that I saw.
Okay. It's like a CBA.
From like a cap guy, yes. So
interesting.
And they don't have the assets to actually like combine the money for KD. So
yeah, I don't think
eliminates. That eliminates Miami for me.
Okay.
Oh, right here. Look at most of the fun KD trades outcomes for all of us is just stay away from holy shit standpoint. Pelicans, Lakers, Knicks, OKC, Boston, finishing last, Sacramento.
Yeah, so I have some thoughts about where KD could end up, but I look at it like this. I don't think that they're going to ask for. Oh, do you want me to wait? Or
Well, give me a sec, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, talk.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was my fault. I think my AirPods died. I haven't charged them.
Are you good? So yeah, I think if you look at it, they just dealt with a guy who was basically about himself, right? You heard the quote, you know, I was you before you were you, and in another life and all this kind of stuff, right? So that right there, I heard that DeAndre Ayton, if I'm not mistaken, didn't he kind of pseudo get benched and have problems at the very end of the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean he's a good player, but like he's not that max type player that he thinks he is.
Yeah, so I mean, I agree with that, but I'm just purely talking about personality wise. Like, I
Oh,
don't see he's about, you know, some guys are we guys, other guys are are me guys, right?
mm-hmm.
We versus me. And right now, DeAndre Ayton has done a lot of me. So for that reason, I don't see the fit. I do think that there is packages that they could potentially get. I do think Memphis. I wouldn't count out Memphis. I was originally thinking Boston. I don't think Boston. I'll throw out one thing only because not just because I'm a fan of the team, but because Zach Lowe has mentioned it twice now.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the Raptors are a dark horse, and I do think that
That's
they have
interesting.
the assets to go for it
They do have the
potentially
assets.
without gutting their team. And I think that that's important to KD is he wants to end up on a team and compete.
That is
So
true.
I don't know if you want me to quickly go through that or we could just move. We could keep it moving either way.
Yeah, let's touch back base in a little bit.
Perfect.
Would you be upset? Good question here. Would you be upset if Monk is the only sign for the Kings? Of course. I mean, you expected so much this offseason. This team still has a lot of glaring holes. And if Malik Monk is your only guy, you know, after announcing, you know, the rights to Dante, like having Dante and Monk would have been great. So, because at the end of the day, you're only as good as your depth. And the Kings don't have any depth. And it's unfortunate, but, you know, people talk about Terrence Davis, who you're very familiar with. I think TD is a good player, but, you know, he's banged up.
I have my own thoughts about him.
Go ahead. I mean, this is interesting because...
But no. I want. So you think he's a good player
And he's inconsistent. Like, he's a bench player. Like, I view him as a bench piece, and that's it. Like, he'll never be a starter in this league. And that's just what he is.
yeah. So he's interesting. I forget all. Let's scrap all the issues off court, PR wise.
Mm-hmm.
My issue with Terrence Davis is the last time I saw him in the playoffs in a Raptors uniform, we put him out there, and I forget. I want to say it was Boston. He might not have even gotten a shine against Boston, but it was awful. He was pulled within, I would say, max 2 minutes. It was
What did he do
fast.
wrong? Like, what did he do wrong?
He made a couple boneheaded plays. I have to go back to it, but like you said, he's very inconsistent. He has the tools, and he had like when he locked in on defense and when he played his role, he was good. But then he would kind of try to go above that, and I just think that the basketball IQ was not quite there. Question: can you hear anything in the background?
I do.
Yeah, sorry about that. My neighbor's mowing the lawn.
Oh, I'm tripping. I'm like, I thought it was me. I'm like, these sound like these stupid headphones.
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I'm
no,
just
all
like
right, I'm
checking, and
tripping.
I'm like, okay, I
No,
can
you're
hear.
good. It's all good. It's
Sorry
all good.
about that.
No, thank you, because I'm like, these stupid ass headphones. I was like, man, I have to charge these damn AirPods again. But okay, that
Oh man, this guy does
now
not
that
like
makes
me.
sense. Now that makes sense.
This Nick guy really does not like me.
Oh man, Nick, come on, grow up, brother, grow up. Thibault off the bench would be good. Yeah, so we've kind of gone over those things. Tobias Harris and Thibault. I feel like are more realistic than ever just because of what the Sixers are doing in terms of not giving, or it's more of James Harden taking a little bit less money for the team to fill in some of their needs per se, because that team lacks toughness. We saw it against Toronto. They almost gave up the series, with the unhealthy Fred VanVleet, unhealthy Scotty Barnes, and they need dogs like a PJ. They really assured that today, right? Like they addressed it today, and that's a good piece. I mean, that's what he does. He helps teams get over the hump. And then they signed Daniel House. Good player. He had his best moments with James Harden, so that's interesting there. I think they used a biannual exception on him. And then, what's next for them? Are they going to try and shed some salary cap? Is there a team that has the assets to do it? The Kings are that team, right? Where they have Harrison Barnes, Rashawn Holmes. So if they get Harrison Barnes and Rashawn Holmes, that's a complete team to me in Philadelphia. Because now you have Embiid's backup, right? Where you never know what can happen to Embiid because he can get hurt tomorrow. Like he can get hurt just literally rolling out the bed. And then Harrison Barnes needs a fresh start somewhere, and that's a hell of a player too, who's just Mr. Professional, great character, super quiet guy. He's all about his business, and that's an interesting mesh where you get two guys with championship experience, right? And Harrison Barnes and PJ Tucker. I think that makes you better. Like I do.
Yeah, so I don't know if it makes you better, not including PJ Tucker in that, but I do think it's a good trade. I think it's a good trade for both sides because now Philly is able to kind of split up that contract and, they can do things in the future, but they also get serviceable players if they can't find anything. And I was going to mention exactly what you said earlier, or just now, but earlier with Rashawn Holmes as the backup to Embiid. I think that's they've always struggled with non-Embiid minutes.
Right. 100%.
Like when the Raptors were playing them in the playoffs, I said, we just have to play them at an even during Embiid minutes, wear him down, and then those 5 to 10 minutes a game when he's not playing, you go for it, right? So, but yeah, I see it as a good move, and I don't know, do you see other Barnes, Holmes combined moves that you would like to see or that you see possible?
I think the other move is John Collins, right? So if you're Monty McNair and you have these options laid out to you where you don't give up any assets in terms of picks for the 76ers because you're taking on a huge contract, so you're doing them a favor because next year they can get rid of Harrison's contract and then they have that money opened up for them. So there's no picks involved there. But then you have John Collins where you could get him as well in a similar deal and then have to offer a future pick. Which deal would you prefer? Having John Collins and Herter and giving up a pick, or getting Tobias Harris and Thibault and giving up no picks? It's interesting, right? Like it's not easy. It's more of like a...
Would the Kings be able... Do you think the Kings would be able to get a protected draft asset back from the Philly deal?
Because they're taking on a big contract?
Yeah, because if that was possible...
What if it's just player for player? That way, like we like clean slates, like
right.
Who fits better? And like to me, I hate to admit it, but I think Tobias and Thibault fit a much larger need for the Kings than John Collins and the Herter.
Yeah, that's the thing. So yeah, they do. The real question is, does Thibault ever become a positive offensive player? Which I don't think he does. But and he's also injured a lot.
I mean, would you say... So you talked about something in the other podcast that made me think about players like him that can become extremely valuable in the NBA. He's already great defensively. He's a big-ass wing, 6'8". Like, those don't grow on trees. And you specifically said it's much easier to teach someone how to shoot than to have a guy know how to play defense. And he's already there. Like, he's one of the, like, if you watch Thinking Basketball, they literally guy did a whole video on like how great he is defensively. So, can you teach him how to shoot the ball?
I think that's a very, very, very good question, and I think you can. So that's why I would bet on the upside, but I'm a lot more down on Thibault than I was if you asked me 12 months ago about that exact same deal. I don't.
Sure. So that's why you make that deal, right? Because his value is at an all-time low perceptionally, but
Yeah.
the narrative doesn't change in terms of what your principles are, right? Like your principles is I can teach someone how to shoot, and like he's a perfect project for like the type of player that you like to look at. So that's kind of why I'm like asking you that. It's kind of like, you know.
Yeah, my issue with Thibault right now for the Kings is can he stay healthy? Because if he can't stay healthy, it doesn't matter if he learns how to shoot or not, right? If he's always off the floor, because then you don't need him, you don't have him when you need him, right? But I think he would be a great asset for the Kings, and I think it would be not a typical Kings move, I will say. So I actually like the move.
Someone
we
said
always debate moves, but it's really good move. I dig it.
Thaddeus Young re-signed with the Raps.
Yeah, I was going to get to that in a second. So for
Okay.
7.7, I believe, but I don't know the term yet.
1 year?
Is it 1 year?
Well, nobody here broke it down. It's not Shams.
I just see year one. So I went to Blake Murphy because he's
Okay,
like
Blake.
the cap guy.
So
and
Blake broke it. Let me see.
Yeah, Blake Murphy. So
Yep.
he broke
I know.
down.
It's my guy. We spoke in Sacramento whenever the Raptors, because he used to be part of the True Network, the Raptors Republic, and we used to be part of the True Network.
He now does like every single show on Sportsnet each day, like five different shows. But yeah, I love it, and I love the term. It's a little bit higher. I wanted 7.
7.7, 10 point. So Boucher got 10.87 in year 1. Oh, so it goes up.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I guess we were both right when I said 11 for Boucher. So yeah, this is right where I thought that they would get. So I think it's very fair because I said that the Raptors had $30 million in total, including basically what Blake is outlining there, but $30 million between their full mid-level and the two of their own guys. And to me, this made sense. I thought that they were going to push up to 21 million, but try to keep it under 18. And
okay,
that's exactly
so that leaves about 10.5 left.
Yep.
10.5 left. Okay, so that, and I'm still wondering who the hell is Traveling Queen?
Some two-way guy from Houston. I looked it up.
Oh my god. Where's Zach LaVine going? That's from Ty. Why isn't Ty on the show? Ty is busy. I don't know what the hell Ty is doing, but
sorry to your viewers if they want more King-centric people.
No, this is Basketball Zone, man. Come on,
I'm just teasing.
KD to the Raptors. I would love it. I would love that too. Like if there's a team that I'd be like, damn, Scotty Barnes and KD with OG, I give up Siakam. So like, go to your point about that. I have to take a piss. We could go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want me to?
Go ahead and like talk about that while I take a piss.
Yeah. Don't do podcasting and put depends on. So, I'll wait for him, but in the meantime, I think this is good. Let's see what else is out there. Okay. Wesley Matthews has agreed to a 1-year deal to return to the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay. Doesn't say how much for. Yeah, sorry Xavier. I'm like I usually don't do these by myself. Um, so I'm gonna just address the comments. So to attract talent, you need a superstar talent. This is why passing on. Yes. So for the Knicks, or sorry, for the Kings, I kind of feel a little bit bad, but their draft record is not really great, and they really should have taken Luka, and that has caused a lot of problems in the past. Um, and so hopefully moving forward, I do like the direction. I do like the idea of getting Thibault and getting, Tobias Harris, and just kind of moving forward. So I really do like it for the Kings. In terms of the Raptors, we'll see. We will see. I am kind of glad that the center market hasn't gone towards the Raptors. I don't want that. I think we have enough in terms of centers with Christian Coloco coming in. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has any questions while we wait for Leo. Let's see. Let me go back a bit. Yeah, Davion Mitchell and Thibault. So I'm a little down on Davion Mitchell overall because I think he has his offensive limitations. But I think as a defensive pairing, that is really, really solid, actually. I love it. I think it's actually pretty awesome. Nobody is trading OG. Yeah, no, OG for Barnes is not a thing. Let's see. Are the that's a good question. So Raptors, I would say, are still top four in the East for sure. It depends on how things break. I think that Miami takes a step back in the regular season, and I think that because the Bucks were out early, that the Bucks are actually going to go, make a step forward because I think that they benefit from having a little bit more rest from their whole core. But I do see the Raptors. So just off the top of my head, I see Bucks. I see, and this is not in any particular order. I see the Bucks. I see the Raptors. I see Philly may or may not be there depending on chemistry. And I feel like I'm missing a team. The Boston. Jeez. So yeah, I think. Mobamba returns to. Okay, that's an interesting deal. That's less than I thought he was going to make. The center for the Raptors right now is kind of a split between two guys. So Precious Achua, and then it's also going to be Christian Coloco. So, and yes, I have seen Kyrie try to force his way to the Lakers. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, so what do I think about this pairing with pairing? Yeah, so if I'm trading, so yeah, I'll wait till Leo gets back. But my whole thing is I would do everything possible to try to keep Siakam. If I absolutely have to, Siakam and Barnes, I should say. If I have to part with one, you obviously part with Siakam. But I just love the Siakam Barnes pairing with anyone. So yeah. Victor Oladipo. So we talked about that earlier, but yeah, I think I'm actually surprised by the Victor Oladipo thing. I thought he was going to get less. Don't have high hopes for the Raptors. Not sure what you mean there, but okay. So yeah, I think in terms of the Raptors, just to cap off the team, I think I could see them being at. I mean, it's still really early in free agency, right? So we don't know their entire team. We don't know what's going to happen. But as is today, I would say they are top 4 or 5 in the East. I think that that's fair. And I think if they can build a proper bench, they could be as high as a second round out. I don't see them going past that because don't expect King. Yeah, I try to be nice about King's fans. So here's the cool thing about Keegan Murray. His dad has the same name as me. Beyond that, I actually think he's a really cool kid. I think he is really, really good. I love him for the Kings. I still think that the Kings should have taken Ivy and then figured it out, or traded Ivy to Detroit and just take him. I joked to Leo and said they should take him hostage, but I do think that Keegan Murray is pretty good, and I'm trying to think of who to compare him to, but I'll stay away from comparisons. But I like his wingspan. He was. I wouldn't say he was the best player, in basketball in the NCAA this year, but he's definitely up there, and I can see him being a 15-year pro. I can see him, pushing up to, maybe being an all-star a couple times. So he has that. He has the work ethic. So yeah. Oh, here the man, the myth, the legend himself. So we'll just wait till he has his headphones on.
There he is. What'd I miss?
I just started going. I didn't know what to say, so I started going back and forth with the chat.
Oh, perfect.
Started going back and forth with the chat, which is fun. And I held off on the KD suggestion, but I talked about it a little bit at the end.
Yeah, that was a long COVID piss right there, man.
That
was one of those. I'm drinking a lot of water to stay hydrated, so it just. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Chases, by the way. Chases in Elk Grove for sponsoring this episode of the live show here on the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. Man.
I made a Depends joke when you went. I was like, you don't have your Depends on.
Facts.
New sponsor. Please sponsor this.
Yes, please. Pampers. Shout out to Pampers, Johnson Johnson. Come out and support your boys, man.
By the way, before we get into the KD thing, Bagley has a great agent. Good for him. I agree with that. I am not high on Bagley, and I could go on a rant about Bagley.
He's so terrible. He's one of the most awful defenders I've ever seen in my life.
He can't. He has bad footwork with defending. He's also heavy-footed. He has no. I don't.
Donovan Mitchell's going to Miami, or he says, "I hope." Oh, he says, "I hope." Yeah. I'm like, what? Oh my gosh.
Gotcha. But like Bagley also can't really shoot that well. He's not good in transition on offense or defense. He has bad court vision. So
terrible.
I know.
Thank you.
Yeah. So like, I know a lot of people blame the Kings and get mad at the Kings. And blame the Kings for his downfall.
He loves you, bro. Great podcast. Both of you have different. See, it's not. It's one person, bro.
I was just bugging. But like the thing is about Bagley is you can't say it's all the Kings. Listen, I don't rag on the Kings because it's a Kings podcast.
Yeah.
As much as I want to rag on the Kings, but he has 90% of the blame.
Yeah.
Okay. He has 90% of the blame.
He had to, because we always talk about opportunity.
Version of Jason. Ooh.
So we always talk about opportunity, right? Bagley had every opportunity to seize a moment and improve. Playing defense, honestly, it's like watching film, understanding people's tendencies, and he will continue to do the exact same thing. And the reason why I cut Fox slack is because literally Fox is your entire offense, and he produces so much on that end of the floor. Like when he's like locked in, like he's taking over games defensively. You will never see that from Marvin Bagley, and that was my biggest gripe against him. Was like, bro, you've been injured for so long that while you were on the bench watching these games, I don't even know if he ever did film sessions, because it sure seemed like he didn't, but. Wouldn't that give you a different perspective of like how the game should slow down for you by watching it and seeing other people's mistakes? And like he never improved, brother, and that's why I'm so upset with them. Like you said, like that's 90% on him, because the other 10%, yes, everybody sucks on defense on the Kings, but this man had to he had one role.
Yeah, like the knocks on him and the issues that people had and suggested that he needed to work on, he did not improve in the slightest between year one and year whatever. Maybe he'll get better. Maybe he's in another place. I don't know. But right now, to this point, he has not proven it. He has
Pistons fans hate him. In terms of like smart Pistons fans are like, God, he's so bad defensively. Pistons fans that are some Pistons fans are delusional, but some Pistons fans, like we had Sean the other day, right? he talked about how terrible he was. And I remember the other night when we had Javi on and Sean came on, like big Pistons guy. He's like, God, that guy is terrible defensively. Like he can't even guard his own shadow.
So I was gonna ask. So, Javi, it's Javi, right?
Javi, yep.
He's a Pistons fan or a Golden State fan?
Javi is a Kings fan and a Warriors fan. I've never seen that in my life. And I said this and I tease him a lot about it. I'm like, I've never seen another person say he's a diehard fan for both teams. It's almost like having two wives. It's kind of like, well, if one bores me to death, I'm gonna go to my other wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, or it's like being a blood a blood in the crib.
We're not in Utah.
Right, we're not. But it's like being like a blood in the crib. Like you can't rep both sides. So, like we give him shit for it in our group chats, and I told him like I've never seen that. Like it's awesome because you're like the King sucks. I'm gonna go root for this team. So it's super convenient in my eyes. Like damn, like you know what I mean. And I'm not questioning his fandom for the Kings. I'm questioning his fandom for like both teams because like sports wasn't intended to be like, well, I'm a diehard fan for both teams. Like what?
Okay, but can I push back a bit? Like,
go ahead.
And here's a good question. Can you be a fan of two teams in two different conferences?
No, but that's a lot better than being a fan in the team that's in the same division. That makes sense.
Okay.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like if you're saying Leo's a diehard Raptor fan and diehard King fan, be like, well, they're in different countries and they're in different conferences. I can see that. Right. But like when you're literally 45 minutes away from each other and you're like, I'm a fan of both. I'm like, wait, what? How?
Yeah.
Well, I'm from the Bay Area. Okay, cool. Like, just, rep the Bay Area. Like, that's fine. But there's just a misunderstanding. Like, no, like, I'm not a Laker fan and a King fan. Like, they're both in California. Like, to me, there's no difference there. So that's my. I'm sure that's 99% of the people's take. It's like you being like, what is it? Both hockey teams in Canada. Like, you're not gonna
root a lot more than two.
Exactly. Like you're not gonna root for both teams. For the
actually,
Montreal. What is it? Montreal what?
Canadians.
The Canadians. and then the Canucks no.
So it's funny because the Leafs. I'm not a Leafs fan.
Okay.
At all. My team moved. So I'm originally from Winnipeg, and I moved out west to Vancouver.
Okay.
And so the Jets left and became. I think they were originally the Atlanta, whatever. They're now the Phoenix Coyotes.
Okay.
And so I didn't have a team, so I watched the Canucks. But the Leafs and Canadians hate each other. We don't have to keep going on hockey, but they hate each other. But yeah, we had enough to basically, during COVID times, when they locked everything down, we basically had an all-Canadian division, which was kind of cool.
Sheesh.
So yeah. Yeah, so Edmonton, Calgary, Canucks, Winnipeg, so on and so forth. So,
what do you think about KD pairing with OG, Scotty, and Fred?
Yes, so
I think Fred would be a part of that deal. I think Fred would be a part of that deal.
Yeah, so I have a couple suggestions in terms of what I think could happen, and I do think so let's take a step back and look at what Brooklyn would want to do. Brooklyn can't tank. Right? They can't.
Brooklyn just said they won't trade KD to Phoenix unless Booker's involved. Which
I was gonna suggest that way earlier, but like,
go
ahead. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like that's the only thing that makes sense, and that's interesting. But then in a year or two, what happens when CP3 finally
retires?
Yeah. Right, or rides off into the sunset.
Yeah, that could happen this year.
Exactly, right? So I don't see that happening. It's a tough ask. I think it's a fair ask for the Nets. I think that if you look at Brooklyn, if you look at New York, New Yorkers, okay, what is the worst thing to have happen to you? I think that is. I should specify as a franchise.
Hold up. My headphones are going. Oh, God. I gotta get new headphones,
There's definitely
bro.
a leg. Okay.
Junks. Let me see if these sponsor ones actually work or not.
Mr. Lopez, I do not disagree with you about Fox. All right, let's see. Is that? Can you hear me?
These stupid ass headphones.
You're lagging a bit, by the way. Just as a heads up.
Huh?
Yeah, I said you're lagging a bit. Like your mouth moves, and then I hear sound much later. I'm so glad that the technical difficulties aren't on my end. Just go headphoneless, man. Go commando. Just do it.
I talk? Okay,
Yep.
You're back.
Perfect.
You're
Cool.
back.
So, yeah, to make my point on KD, I think I would say you can have OG and one other major asset. So Fred or Gary Trent, and 3 picks.
Okay.
I'll make my other point later, but that would be, and then like your pick swaps and all that kind of stuff. That's what I would do.
Keegan Murray is a Walmart Banton. I'm dead.
Does he mean Delano Banton?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I like Banton, and I got yelled at early on in the Raptor season when I was like,
I love
think
Banton,
it was actually
but
on
stop it.
So it was actually on his birthday, and I was talking to someone, and I was like,
Bagley got $37 million?
Yes, yeah. So that's what we were talking about before.
Oh my gosh.
Right before he left. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why I went on my Bagley rant.
Is wrong with Jaden? I have a hater not wanting to come to sack. It doesn't really matter, man. I like at the end of the day, like the Kings wanted their guy. They got their guy at the end of the day. Like it's not a reach to say that they got him at 4 because he was going 5. The Pistons were 100% going to draft Keegan Murray. So it's not like they had 4 and they drafted a guy that would have won 10. You know what I'm saying? Like that'd be a reach to me. But yes, I agree. It was a 4-player draft with Ivy being at 4, perceptionally speaking, obviously, like perception-wise. But if one guy is your guy, like just take your guy. And I mean, you said 100 times, don't get too whatever.
Yeah, don't get cute if you're gonna.
Yeah, just take him. My issue was never Keegan because I thought Keegan was a perfect fit. My issue was that the Kings showed their hand way too early in the process. They lost all their leverage. Too many leaks came out. Again, I hate to repeat myself. Too many leaks came out saying that every team had intel. Every team had intel that they love Keegan. Keegan at dinner with Sabonis. He had lunch with Fox. Yada yada yada. And you're just like, thanks. You literally just ruined all your chances because now every team knows you want him, and that every team knows you won't choose Ivy. So that's what I mean by Monty didn't play his cards right. I'm not mad at Keegan because I wanted Keegan and the starter. I'm happy they got Keegan. Like Keegan was the right fit for that team.
But then here's the question. Then like, if you're gonna play it that way, then why not? Who cares? Just take Ivy, and if you want him, then you have to come get him. Simple as that. They could have played that game.
They could have, yeah. It's a good point.
And I would argue that they should have. And I think Murray still would have been a good fit in Detroit. But
because we knew Detroit won Ivy. You know what I'm saying? Like
sure.
That was a fact, right? So, but then they knew that you wanted Keegan.
Take him. You know what I mean? Like if you're the Kings and then I don't care. I don't care if you don't work out for me. Like, like I drafted you. If you want this,
but I think they took your mindset, Kenyon. I feel like they took your mindset. They said, "I'm not gonna get cute with it. I'm just taking my guy." Like we've done this whole process. 2 years of scouting him. We're just taking him. So I think they went for that as opposed to playing like the I need to get someone in return. So at that point, you're just like, whatever, man. But that doesn't justify them, or like that doesn't mean that I'm not gonna argue, or like that I'm not gonna talk about it and bring it up. Like, I mean, that's what we're doing now. Like, we're just having the conversation. People, oh, you're just complaining too much. It's not that I'm complaining, it's that we have nothing else to talk about. So let's talk about something that's true though. Like, he misplayed his hand. Like, that's not bad to say that. Like it can't be, I'm gonna roll with Monty. He can do no wrong. It's like, no. He's always had a shitty free agency. He's drafted well. He's traded, once well. But it's okay to hold your guys. Messiah's won a championship for the Raptors. That doesn't mean Kenny won't rip him if he deserves to get ripped. I mean, like, what are we saying?
I think sometimes he can be a little bit too loyal to guys and that sort of
there
thing.
There you go. Like, it's okay to, like, hold people accountable. It doesn't mean we hate the guy. It just means that I just can't put all my eggs on one guy like mine and be like, man, he can do no wrong because he's better than Vladdy. Everybody's better than Vladdy. I'd be better than Vladdy. Like, the bar is set so low that anything you do will be, good.
So again, I didn't think that the Grant trade was going to happen because I thought that the Pistons were trying to create cap space, and I didn't think that you guys. So that was fine.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, so originally I thought that made sense because they thought they wanted to go Aiden, but then when they had the opportunity to go get Jalen Durant, which that's what they got, that kind of ended. So the next thing was, okay, do we have a real shot on Miles Bridges? The Kings have about $6 million in trade exceptions. And if they could have just added a $4 million player, which could have been Justin Holiday, they still could have absorbed most of that money anyway. So, like, to your point, there was still a chance that could have happened if they had played their cards right, but they didn't.
I mean, like, again, I know I said take your guy, but I also, I felt that Ivy was better.
Sure.
But if Murray is your guy, Murray's your guy, and I totally get that 100%. Mindset, and I don't have a problem with the mindset.
Me neither.
My thing is that if, in the sense of, like, if the plan was to get assets, then you should have taken Ivy and traded him for assets. Or what I would have preferred, I don't think I've ever said this actually, but I think that they should have taken Ivy and then figured out trading Fox in the future. That's just me.
That's a separate thing. Yeah, sure.
But that's what those would have been the better options.
So the Pacers offered Chris Duarte and 6 in the swap. Would you have taken that knowing that you could have lost Ivy and lost
Chris
Murray?
Duarte and the 6?
Yeah. So at that point,
who did they take at the 6? Ben Mathurin?
Yes.
I wouldn't have taken Ben. Wait, 6. And Dyson Daniels went where? He went
after.
Right?
Yeah, sure. So it's reported that the Pacers were in love with Keegan, and Keegan would have
Daniels. So Dyson Daniels and
but that's not your guy. That's my point. So say you do get management, say you get assets, right, and you do get a starter in Duarte, but you move to 6, risking, like you've said multiple times, risking Keegan not being there, and. So so
I'm just reading the
what did he say? What they say?
Guys feeling your pain.
Yeah. I be cheese. Facts. So
we've been going on for days about this too.
So would you have done that then?
Arthur Fist.
Yeah. So like, would you have done that? Would you have taken that risk of, them threatening to take your guy either a 4 or 5, and then
Yeah, I would have. I like that. It depends on what you want to do, and I don't know. I'm not in the guy's head, right? But if the plan is to get as many assets and go get as many assets as you actually can, take
but like
the assets,
but like still take your guy though. I think that was a fine line of like. Sure. So
but I'm
to
sure
me,
that they had multiple guys that they liked, right?
Your only trade partner to me was Detroit.
Yeah. Then
because I guaranteed you Keegan, and Indiana. Did not guarantee you Keegan. So I do see those stories. I personally see Monty leaking that out to the guy from Sports Illustrated that broke that news, and Monty, leaking it to him, being like, let me control the PR narrative right now. So it's like him leaking it to me and then me tweeting like, oh, well, the Pacers would have taken Keegan at 4. Okay.
Yeah, but so you ended up with Ivy. Let's say you got stuck with Ivy. What's so bad about that?
That's my point too. Like, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Right? Like.
At worst, you get stuck with Ivy, right? And then if these teams want to play hardball, and like that's what I go back to, like 100%. And then I'm like, okay, Detroit, trade me Keegan, trade me Bay for Ivy. They'd be like, fuck, I have no choice.
Yeah, and look, like again, I understand both sides. I'm just just to address the.
That's a great point, bro. Like that's a great point. You at worst you like take Ivy. And then just play hardball. Okay, well, give me what I want.
Yeah. That said, I do like Keegan. I
love
biased.
Keegan.
Robert is right. So like, I'm a tiny bit biased because his dad's name is the same name as mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. But look at like you, for someone like you and Robert, who live and die by analytics. Keegan Murray is literally analytics. Like. The best analytical guy in college basketball. He scores. He doesn't make mistakes. Yes, he's a bit older, but who cares? Yeah. Players always plateau anyway.
So I would say I'm in between. So Robert is a lot more into analytics than I am. I understand the analytics and I use them a lot, but I would say I'm closer to being in between, more of a balance.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So. I hear what you're saying. I still think Ivy's the better player, and I think Murray will have a great career as a Sacramento King, for as long as he's on the Kings.
He's solid. He's solid. He may win Rookie of the Year, and yet.
So when you went to the bathroom, I talked about him, and I outlined. I was like, I think that he is going to be plus 10 years in the league, and he's going to probably. Be a borderline all-star at times. I don't know how many times. I'm not saying he's going to be perennial, but he's going to be a really solid player. So a really, really good player, and he's going to help set your culture, right?
100%. 100%. So let's
Jeremy Grant.
Troy
talking
Brown.
About Jeremy Grant?
I have no idea. Okay. Ooh. Jalen Brunson armed with a 5-year 106 plus Maverick offer. Headed into a meeting. Wait, so it's not done?
It's not done yet. It's not done.
Holy shit, that got interesting. No, but his dad, but his dad got signed for a reason. Because he told him he's going to New York.
But you still got to get the other offer. So I have a theory. Not everyone agrees with it, but I feel like no one really gets what they deserve. You get what you have the leverage to negotiate. So
it's been pretty dead for 49 minutes because before Woj tweeted about traveling Queen, it took about 20 minutes, right?
Hey, he's an important player.
Yeah, and Patty Mills 2-year deal, 14, so 7.5 or 7.2.5, I think. So it's been stale then, huh? Since I've left.
It's been pretty stale. So
Troy Brown. Minimum deal.
Yeah, so there's Troy Brown. I saw another one in the comments that someone brought up.
Wow, Lonnie Walker.
Yeah.
So he's Lonnie the new Walker. Malik Monk. So Malik Monk used the Lakers to, net himself. Still, Lonnie got $6.5 million.
That's unfortunate that it's a 1-year deal.
For who?
For Lonnie Walker. I would have pushed for a longer term deal, but I understand. So that's going to be their.
I wouldn't have done that. I mean, I'm gonna bet on myself. Use the Lakers as leverage to then get me a $12 million, double my deal next year. So interesting. So the Lakers got him. Are they really? Oh, Jashawn Tate. Oh, 3-year. That's a good player.
Raptors don't have a center. What are you talking about, bro?
Talk to him.
Sorry. Get him. No. No. It's So Mr. Lopez, right?
Go ahead.
No, the Raptors have 2 centers. They have 2 centers that do very different things. So yes. Koloko, he
play. So not him though, because he hasn't played a single minute. talking about
no,
the
but
guys
I'm
that
just
like
saying,
are
like-
on the roster
Okay,
that like
so
played last year.
he does count, but sure. All right, fair.
Yeah.
Precious Achua is
Mhm.
insanely good on the defensive end. The only issues right now are offensively. He is one of the most cringiest players ever because if he has to, he can dribble the ball, he can do things with the ball, but he cannot catch the ball and he has trouble shooting from inside. Like, he can basically shoot the three and that's it. He has trouble with his free throws. He has trouble. What are you talking about bust centers? No, we don't. Don't tell us what we need. Get a better team and then tell me. Sorry.
Just a straight championship.
If you look at the stats, if you want to go down the stats, Precious is one of the best not rim protectors, but one of the best defenders in the league at what he does. He's very versatile. One of the things that's amazing about him is his ability to have such core strength. No, stop talking, man. Sorry. Is Kwame Brown? What are you on about, man? I know he's trolling, but it's what? Yeah. So, anyways, I have going back to my original question that I had for you, which is, if you're in New York, but also in the NBA at large as a franchise, what's the worst thing to happen to you?
If you're the Knicks?
Yes. No, just in general, as a franchise, what's important? And what's the worst thing that could happen to a franchise?
What will just happen to the Nets, where you give up all these assets for guys like KD and James Harden, and then you don't win the championship because of injuries, right? And you give up all your depth, and you give up a bunch of picks, and then these guys literally almost left them, both Kyrie and KD, right? Like, that was terrifying for them. They were like, oh my God, like the Rockets could get a lot of, like bunch of pick swaps. And so I think that's a scary, I mean, I'm not a pick guy. Everyone who like follows me, they know that I hate picks. Like, I literally hate them because the Kings haven't made the play in 16 years. So I'm like that. So whenever I give up a bunch of capital, 2 or 3 picks, I'm like, yeah, just give them away.
Luka, Clay, etc.
I mean, right. But like, that's because they were terrible as is, because they don't take risks to like trade for guys. Teams who trade for stars are the big market teams.
They traded up to get Jimmer Fredette over Klay Thompson.
That was all management. Yes.
You're like,
yes.
Not talking about.
No, yeah. That was the ex-owners who were like, oh my God, we have to sell tickets, so let's get Jimmer Fredette. And once they realized 5 games in, they're like, oh my God, this guy is terrible. Nice guy. Love Jimmer to death, but he's not a player. But that's my point. Like, you have to take risks in the NBA, and when you're a small market team and you don't draft well, who cares if you give up picks? When I always say this, just for example, say the Kings traded for Murray and they did the exact same deal, 3 picks, and a salary dump.
Yeah.
De'Aaron Fox, Sabonis, Murray. Hypothetically speaking, on paper, you just gave yourself real odds to be a top 6 team in the West. That pick will be anywhere from 15 to 25. Now, let's project these next 3 drafts, or so 2023, 2025, and 2027. Will any of those players from 15 to 25 ever be as good as Murray? The odds of that happening are very low. Can they happen? Absolutely. Like, anything can happen in life. But if we're playing odds, I guarantee that nobody out of those picks that you might get from the Kings will be as good as Dejounte Murray. And that's what I always just like come back to. It's like, okay, yeah, picks are great. Cool. But what's not great is continually having to draft picks and you still suck. So at some point, you must get better. At some point, picks can't matter no more. And if you're at 16 years plus, these picks can't matter. Like, you have to take risks. At the end of the day, Kenyon, this is a business. Like, let's not act like it's not. And the more years you take, and again, the Kings have been very blessed to be in sacked because that's all we have is one team. Other cities that have multiple teams, guess what? Fans don't show up, and they've been lucky.
So that just right there, that was hitting on the point that I actually wanted to get, which is you don't want to be irrelevant, right?
Yes,
that was what I was going for.
Yes,
and on top of that, where is the worst place to be irrelevant? New York.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So that's what I was going for. Is that I'm trying to think of what does Brooklyn want? What would Brooklyn be interested in? Because you're in New York. You don't want to be irrelevant, right? The Nets can't tank. They can't tank. And even if they wanted to tank, Houston has their picks. They have 3 pick swaps. 23, 25, 27.
Mm-hmm. It's tough. Like, they were terrified. Like, if KD leaves them, right? Or, like, Kyrie walks, which, again, we all knew that he wasn't going to walk. But if he did,
he'll walk at the end of the season.
Like, they would have been shitting their pants.
Yeah.
So, if I'm them...
KD basically pulled the whole, captains don't go down with the ship. And then all of a sudden, he's revving up the boat to leave, right? And he's getting ready to bounce. To go back to a point that you made before I finally get to this Raptors thing, I keep going back and forth in my mind about John Collins and Tobias Harris. It's tough. Mm-hmm. It's a lot closer. It really depends. I would bet on John Collins over Tobias Harris because he's younger, and he is
But who's a better player now? I mean, it's not close. I think Tobias is a better player.
It's all I'll say is
he's a better all the way around. It
depends on what you need, right? I think that the Kings need defense in a particular way, but I mean both are bad in the same way in terms of defense. I'm like looking at the numbers right here, and I'm like, okay, so they're both bad at basically perimeter defense, which
terrible
the Kings badly need. So it doesn't really solve any problems. So. But
the only problem that it will sure up is Collins can shoot a stationary shot from the corner, and the Kings are dead last in corner threes, and then he does provide weak side rim protection, which is what you need around Sabonis. In terms of what Tobias does, you can throw the ball on Tobias and he'll get you a bucket from the 3-4 position. Yeah. So, like you said, they're different players, but who's actually right now? Again, to me, when people talk about timelines, and I get it, I think it's way overblown. Well, this player fits the timeline with Sabonis. I'm like, yeah, but that player is a role player. This is my take. This is not your take or anyone's take. Mm-hmm. I only use timeline when it comes to a borderline all-star player. So Murray fit the timeline. Spider fits the timeline. Levine fits the timeline. Actual players that are, if not all-stars, close to being all-stars. I don't use a timeline excuse for all my role. All my role players don't have to be 26. So people have to stop blowing that over proportion. No, I don't care about no timeline when he's going to be a role player for you. Yeah. Every year you have to be able to, swap these role players because at the end of the day, you can't keep everybody.
So I think I get the timeline argument. At the same time, I'll say good players mean that the timeline doesn't matter. A lot of people for the Raptors, for example, will say, "Oh, there's this timeline or that, the Scotty timeline." I'm like, Scotty's so good that it doesn't matter, right?
Exactly. We're on the same page. We're on the same page with that. You have your foundational pieces, and then that's it.
Yeah.
And then you just try to surround those guys with the ancillary pieces, whether they fit the timeline or not. Are they good? Can they help your foundational pieces elevate? I mean, that's how you build a roster. Everybody can't be 22 or 23 and be like, oh, we have a super young team. No, you need vets. You need guys on vet minimums. You need guys on etc. Everyone can't fit your damn timeline. It's unrealistic.
I think Anyways, it's an interesting conversation, but in Monty, we trust. Man,
Masai can
Masai's bigger
catch
than
my
basketball.
hands.
That's all I'll say. Like legit,
Um,
Masai is bigger than basketball at this point.
So we've been on for an hour and 30. I told
Yep.
Kenyon it'll be 1:30. If anything breaks, we'll come back on later. I need to grab my wife some food.
Smart man.
But yeah, man. Thank you guys so much. We've been on here. Make sure you guys hit the like button. If there's 50 people watching, we should have 50 likes, man. That's how we continue to grow. But thank you guys so much. Kenyon, thank you so much. We'll be back later, probably, if other stuff
Thanks
breaks.
for having me on. We'll have to discuss the Nets idea that I was at some point.
No, I'm sure we'll be back later because it's been dead for like an hour. It's been crazy. It's been one of the slower free agencies. Last week we had a lot more action. But hey, man, thank you guys so much. And on behalf of the entire family, I appreciate you guys, and we'll be back soon. Peace.